Welcome to the Mentor Podcast, where the most highly motivated entrepreneurs come to get their weekly dose of financial stability with host Ron LeGrand, as well as other nationally recognized thought leaders who will teach you how to get, grow, and protect your wealth.
Well, hello, everybody. Ron LeGrand back with another episode of the Mentor Podcast, designed to help you make more money, make it faster, make a lot more that you keep, and retire wealthy. And today I'm going to talk about a couple of deals that a partner of mine are working on right now, and I have him on the telephone with me. His name is Mr. Jason Palmer. Jason, you there?
Yes, I am. Glad to be here.
Okay. What we're going to discuss today is my favorite kind of commercial deal, and you'll see why it's my favorite here. But I got Jason on here because he's the guy who brought them to me, and we are currently working them together as we speak. And I think if you listen to this podcast closely, you'll see that there's probably a way here for you to duplicate what we're doing, because it requires no building of any kind. There are no tenants. There are no repairs. There are no contractors. There are no banks, no credit. There's no maintenance. There's no permits. And in fact, there's really nothing, almost nothing to do except flip the property. And the property I'm talking about is pieces of vacant land. I'll let Jason tell you how he found these, and we'll discuss what our plans are with them and why it's such an easy deal to do if you have any idea what you're looking for, and how you can actually even do it without your money, which is exactly what Jason is doing right now. So, Jason, we have purchased one. We have another one that we're about to purchase. So let's describe that first piece of land. And they're going to certainly want to know, how'd you find it? And what even started you looking for it, actually?
You know, honestly, it was, so first a description of the property. It's a 15-acre parcel on the west side of Jacksonville. New state toll road has come through recently, and they're continuing that loop as we speak. It's supposed to be done in the next few years. But the important thing about this piece is it's 15 acres, not only on that road, but it's about a quarter of a mile from the nearest on-ramp to that new state toll road, which obviously makes it prime location real estate, as you know. And it's got a lot of frontage on that road, almost 400 feet. And so it is in a great location. And after doing a little bit of research, meeting with city councilmen, it's a lot better deal than we even anticipated. Now, how I found that deal is, quite honestly, just through networking. It wasn't a deal that I advertised for. I had a gentleman who was trying to get something done on it with the sellers, the owners of it, and he didn't have the ability to do something with it quickly, and there was a little bit of confusion. So long and the short of it is, we couldn't get that property closed before it went to the tax deed auction. And as you know, the morning it went to tax deed auction, we had already done our due diligence, got the title search run, and we won it at the tax deed auction. So now we actually own it.
All right, so let's go back a little bit. First of all, you are a student of mine, and
Yes,
you are doing house deals. You're doing wholesale deals right now. And this actually was brought to you by someone you know, who had a contract on it to purchase it for $215,000. What was it? $200,000.
Correct.
But this was individually owned, actually by three sisters, who literally hadn't paid the taxes on it in 3 years or longer. And finally, they put it off until it got right down to the point where I didn't even hear about it till about 3 days before the actual tax deed sale, as I recall. You brought it to me, and of course, my first thought was, there ain't no way in hell I'm going to close on a property that fast. No way. So anyway, the person who brought it to you is not going to get paid on it, because the sellers backed out of the deal. I mean, the sellers, I forgot what the problem was with that. Why isn't he getting paid? I can't even remember.
Well, long and the short of it is, obviously, I still intend to take care of them at some point, but the sisters were basically in disagreement about what they wanted to do, and they felt they might be better off letting it go to the tax deed auction, and it turns out they weren't.
Well, okay. Well, that's right. They wouldn't sign anything. That's right. They wouldn't go forward. They wouldn't do anything. They just got, really what they got is just upset because they were losing the property.
I think they got some bad advice is what happened.
Well, I'm not sure though, because what the advice they got was that they would get the proceeds over and above what taxes were owed on it because they were owners, and that really was true. They will, but so they owed 60 grand on the property in taxes, but we had to bid on it at the tax deed sale, which you do online nowadays. And I gave you a maximum bid of 300, I believe, and you won the bid at 215. It seemed like there was only one other bidder on it, wasn't there?
I think there were three, but the next highest bidder was 215, and we won it at 215 100.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. So the deal came to you, and then you brought it to me. So you saw the value in it very quickly because it's assessed for $899,000. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
All right. So it was pretty easy to spot that it was a good deal, and of course we know the area, and it's getting developed. Development going on all around it, and more to come in the future. Now, what we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen, is woods, because that's all it is woods. And nothing impressive about this property except it was cheap. And it's zoned PUD, which here is for, what all can you put on PUD, Jason? I know you can put houses on.
So planned unit development, it's a mixture of residential and some business. So it's technically a commercial classification, but I think you're pretty limited. I don't know all the exact businesses. There was going to be a pet resort or something like that on it, but we intend to change that.
Yeah. Okay. So it is a low class commercial zoning is what it's amount to, whatever that's called, wherever you're at. So now the thoughts were we could upzone this property if applicable, and create a higher commercial use on it, because that's what we think the best use of it is. And I believe the city agreed with you when you asked them, did they not?
Correct.
Right. Okay. So if we zone it to CG1 or CG2, then that obviously is going to increase the value from a lower end to a higher end commercial. To what? To be honest, we don't know yet. We are we're doing right now, we're waiting on an appraiser to appraise it. They are appraising it in its as is and its rezoned status. And we are also, in this case, we have to have an attorney file a quiet title suit to quiet the title, because when you buy anything in a tax deed sale, the people who lost it could actually come back and claim they didn't get served or whatever and try to overturn the sale. So the normal thing to do around the country is a quiet title suit, which is about the same as a foreclosure. And basically, the attorney lets everybody know it's gone for a tax deed sale. If you have any reason to have a claim on it, that a valid claim, come forward now. And these three ladies definitely will not have a valid claim, because they cannot claim they weren't properly served, because they knew it was coming up. They put a contract on it to sell it, and so they don't really have a claim there. Now they will get the difference between the 60 grand and the 215 grand. And the minute they take that, they have no more claim anyway. So we just literally got to wait a couple, 3 months to get the title cleared. But in the meantime, I'm going to confirm the value and confirm whether we should upzone it or not. So that's the choices Jason and I are trying to make right now. And we will decide that after we get the appraisal on it for both zonings. Because the downside is, if we upzone it, there goes several more months. And what did you think? 25 grand to upzone it?
I think we're 15 to 20 on the high end, but we can probably get away with less.
Okay. On the other hand, several months goes by. So this is a decision you make when you buy a piece of land: is what's the best use? What should I be doing to get the most money out of it? And is the pain worth the gain, or should we just sell it like it is? We will make that decision when we get the facts. Now, I went ahead and closed on this one. Jason came to me. I put up the money, and we're going to partner on it. He's doing all the work. So I am not building a thing. I'm not developing a thing. My whole goal: buy the property and flip it for a much, much higher price. Jason, what's your best guess that it's worth right now? I mean, it's assessed at $899. I mean,
as it sits right now, we've got a CMA from a broker here locally who puts its value between $900,000 and $1.1 million.
Okay, well, that'll work. So in other words, we'd be okay if we just put it right back on the market, let a broker list it, and let them sell it. And, you know, we could possibly even be encouraged to take a small discount, couldn't we, Jason?
A little bit.
Was it? Yeah, it was a joke. Okay. So why do I like these kind of deals? Well, I think it's kind of obvious. There's nothing to do except figure out what the value is and let the realtor sell it. And that's why I like it. So the keys here are this, folks, because I know you're trying to figure out, well, how does this apply to me? Well, first of all, let's say you don't have any money. Well, neither do you, Jason, right? Okay.
None in this anyway.
All right. So that didn't stop you, did you?
Not at all.
Okay. In fact, we didn't even have to put it under contract because we went to a tax deed sale. So all you did was bring it to me, and I said, okay, go see if you can win the bid. And then I put up the money actually next afternoon, didn't I? All right. So all you did was find somebody with money, and trust me, folks, if you find the deal, the money will come. There's money chasing deals all over this country. I mean, deals like this, think about it, pay $215. We don't know what it's worth, but we'll do okay on it. We don't know how long we're going to be in it yet. But on the other hand, anytime I want, I can replace my money with a private loan and not have any money in it. And very well may do that when I find out how long we think this is going to take. So the key is you got to find the property that you can buy cheap, or none of this will work. And we found this through a tax deed sale, which goes on in most states. So if I didn't do anything but sit around and watch them, then I probably could pick up deals like this. Now, that's the first property. All right, we own that one right now. And now we have a contract on a second one. You want to describe that one?
So this is one, if we're going a little bit further west of this property, and as you and I discussed, I met with the city councilman on this, and that's an important thing to do as well, I think, is to make sure you've got their backing for anything you want to do, and that's what the point was. While I was there, I discovered further down the road, there was another piece of property I've been looking at for a little while. And during my meeting with him, it was brought to my attention that the property further down, it's 13.3 acres. It's at the very end of this road that the other property's on, and it's still pretty rural out there. But I found out that there is a developer that's purchased over 10,000 acres of land, and they intend to build over 10,000 homes sometime within the next 5 to 10 years over there. So I reopened this case, if you want to call it that. I went back to the seller, and we've arranged to purchase this property that has, I think, over 1,700 foot of frontage along the main highway there, right across from the southern end of where those homes are going to be built. And the tax assessed value on that one is, I think, around $290,000. The nearest comp I could find a recent sale, well, there wasn't a comp, but the assessed value on that one is somewhere around $800,000. Similar size, similar frontage on that same highway, and we're going to be purchasing that one for $150,000.
All right, and this assessed value on the tract we're purchasing was
right at $290,000.
Okay, so what do you think that property is worth? In fact, it's already zoned commercial, isn't it? So we don't have to rezone this one.
Well, a portion of it is. We may have, depending on what our exit strategy is going to be, we may have to go down and get the rest of it rezoned. But again, that's where I found out I have the backing of the councilman for that district, and he's ready to let us do anything we want.
Which is kind of an important point here, which I found out at one time. I was developing 32 projects in 9 different states simultaneously, all at the same time, and multiple different kinds of development. And which, by the way, is why I have no intentions of developing these properties. I already been there and done that. I'm going for the easy money, and I'll let somebody else to get the hard money. But what I've discovered very early on is I'm not going to fight City Hall. If I have an intended use for the property and the city violently opposes it, okay, I'm going to change the use or get out of the deal, one of the two, because you're going to rarely win a fight with City Hall. So that's where we kind of start once we find a property that looks like it might be a distress sale. Now, Jason, this thing was owned by a family, a father. What was the situation there? Because it's been in their family, 100 years?
It's been a long time. I haven't done a full background research, but long and the short of it is that mom passed away a few years ago and deeded the property solely over to dad within the last couple of years, or the last few years before she died. And so Dad's now in not the greatest health, and the kids, brother and sister, have basically said, "Look, we love you, Dad, but we don't want to deal with the headaches that come along with owning this property." And they want to go ahead and get it sold and give Dad the money so he can do some good things while he's still here on this earth. And so that's where that came about.
Okay. So how did you find this property?
This was a direct mail campaign that I had put out on some absentee owner property.
So you mean some vacant land or houses?
This was it typically when I do absentee owner, and I may have learned my lesson with this one, I only do where there's a structure on the property, and so the structure on this property happens to be like a little commercial building, so it got mixed in, fortunately. With my other leads, and we've had this lead for quite a while now. And quite frankly, I didn't want to have anything to do with it until I discovered all of the building that's going on around it. And that's when I remembered having this in my lead pile, and I went back and revisited it. And this is another important thing. You know, these leads that come in, this was probably 8-9 months ago that this first came in. And so following up on these leads is very important when you're trying to land these deals.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So you got this from a direct mail campaign, actually looking for houses.
Correct.
And then you called the sellers and started finding out the details. And
yes.
Kind of makes you wonder, why didn't they just list it with a realtor if they wanted to sell it? Actually, they were about to, weren't they? Or no, they were about to take an offer from a family member, weren't they?
Yeah, there was a friend of the family who offered the same as we did, but there was some question as to whether he was going to be able to get the money or not. So they just said, we're going to go with the sure thing.
Mm-hmm. And actually, we should disclose that we started out asking for 60 days to close. And then the seller said, well, I got somebody else that said they'll give me the same price and close in 2 weeks. So I said, Jason, it looks like we're going to have to close in 2 weeks. So that's, you know, I'm always going to wonder, Jason, for the rest of my life, if that was a game they were playing to get us to close in 2 weeks. But I guess it doesn't.
Sometimes you got to not call their bluff, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, we have 2 weeks to close on that, and so several days of that has passed. And frankly, we've already done all the due diligence we need to do. You got a title policy working, and that's assuming the title is clear. And you walked it yesterday, and there's really no wetland on it, even though the map shows a little. So in that regard, don't ever try to sell a piece of property until you know title is clear and how much wetland's on it, because obviously you can't build on most wetland. So, you know, this was 10 acres, right?
This is 13.3 acres.
13.3 acres. So, you know, if you buy 13.3 acres and 10 of it is wetland, you really got 3 acres in a 10-acre pond, so to speak. So that's one thing you really want to know. And in fact, down here where we live, there's very, very few pieces of property that don't have wetland on them. So our goal here is very simple. Buy it. In this case, get it appraised and then sell it. And frankly, I'm not selling it. And Jason, you can if you want to, but we're going to list it with somebody who's in the business of selling this land, is very good at it, and got a list of buyers. So it might be go quickly. Oh, it might hang around a while. Either way, we're going to get it out, put it on the market, and let nature take its course. And another key when you're looking for property like this or similar to this is you got to be in the path of progress. If this land's out in the middle of nowhere, then there's no exit strategy for it unless you want to grow something on it. And we don't do that. So you got to make sure you're looking for land that is near civilization. So in that regard, what are we looking for? Gosh, it don't have to be a class like this. I like farmland. I like land that has been used for farming and it's zoned agriculture, which also means it's got very low taxes on it. And as long as it's in the path of progress. So one of my favorite plays is to take farmland and rezone it to residential and try to get at least 4 houses per acre. And I can tell you in my experience, when you take a piece of farmland and you agree to buy it at farmland prices, of course, not rezone prices, because some sellers want the prices if it's already rezoned. But when you can take a piece of property with cow poop on it and turn it into a piece of property you can build 4 houses on, you've at least tripled the value of that land. And then it won't be hard to sell it to a builder who will then get a plat map and get it approved by the city. But getting it rezoned is your big play. And then if I were you, I'd get out right then and there. And there's a lot of money in that if you can see the opportunity. And that's the whole game. You got to be able to see the opportunity. And if you want, I'll help you with that if you want, because I have a 4-day commercial boot camp coming up in November. And we can get you some information on that. In fact, we will get you some information on that. So in my world, commercial property means dealing with the smaller properties, especially in your case, if you're brand new at this, dealing with little or no risk, which Jason is absolutely doing. I mean, he has no risk whatsoever. I'm the guy who took the risk, but I was willing to do it. And you won't have any problem finding people that are willing to take the risk as long as the math is there. We think the math is there. We have all the evidence to believe it's there. What do you think the 13-acre parcel is worth right now, Jason? I mean, what's your best guess on that? The assessed value doesn't really make it. It's always worth more than the assessed value.
Yeah. My best guess, and I'm still waiting on the final numbers, I would say 300 to 350 as it sits.
All right. I'll bet you it's worth more than that because it's zoned CG1. And when you get property that's zoned commercial and they can build pretty much any kind of a retail outlet on it or a storage outlet or anything like that, it's hard to find property like that, frankly, that's worth less than $100,000 an acre. And in some areas, way, way, way more than that. So I'll be anxious to see what that piece is worth. You should know there's a service station right across the street from it, so it ain't like it's out in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, we'll see. Anyway, Jason, are you going to continue looking for projects like this?
After this experience, absolutely. And do you mind if I also tell them that I had a deal that I got one using some of your yellow letters a while back?
Oh, what? Okay. A house or land?
So again, this was a house was on 5 acres of land, and when I went to look at the house, I noticed there was another 3-acre parcel next to it, and it was all cleared. And the 3-acre parcel next to it had a FSBO sign up front, a for sale by owner sign. So looked at the area, and on both sides of these properties that were adjacent to each other, there were 2 new subdivisions. So I got both of these properties under contract for $215,000. Brought in a friend who's a developer, and he found another developer in Texas who wanted to take on a small project. So while we had it under contract, he worked diligently on getting the engineers in line, the surveys done. So for in a 60-day turn, I had these properties under contract for $215,000, and I sold them to the developer within 60 days for $300,000. So we made $85,000 on that deal, kind of like these, but on a smaller scale. And that was one where I had very little time and money invested in that property at all.
And that's the whole point. And by the way, guys, these are great deals to do inside your IRA. Think about making all that money and never paying taxes on it. So beyond what we're doing, let me tell you what I think I'd be looking for if I were you. And this could be as simple as a lot in the middle of the city or a lot in a highly developed area. You'll see vacant lots. Go drive 2 or 3 miles in any direction if you're within civilization, and you'll see plenty of lots. And some of them are vacant, and most of them don't have a sign on them. But even if they do, even if they have a sign on them, or even a broker sign, sometimes these lots get sold for a lot less than they're worth because they're underzoned. When you can find a lot that is zoned light commercial, and you see it right next door or very close to something you think is of much higher and better use, a little due diligence will quickly determine whether that thing has a chance of being rezoned or not. And let's say you find a old grocery store or some kind of a convenience store, and right beside it is a high-rise. Well, to me, that grocery store needs to go, and a high-rise needs to go there. So very simply, anytime you can raise the zoning on a property and or create more residential density, in other words, get it rezoned to where more people can live on that property, the value of that property goes through the roof. And while you're driving around, it would be good for you to get to know what these properties are worth in some area where you live. You can't know that in the whole town, but if you start checking on these properties and finding out what they're selling for and get a good feel for what a commercial lot is worth per square foot, which is how they're measured, or a residential lot is worth per acre, and learn what's going on in your area, you'll be able to spot these opportunities very, very quickly. All right. Well, Jason, I'm going to give away stuff here. And you guys should make a note if you're interested in this commercial stuff. And frankly, if you come spend some time with me, you will be interested in this commercial stuff. When you get over the fact that you don't have to have your money or credit to do commercial deals, and you don't have to be a big builder wizard or anything like that. In fact, most people start like Jason, starting right now. Find a property and find somebody else to buy it from them. In fact, Jason, you ever heard the story of how Steve Wynn got started, out in Vegas, built half of Vegas?
No, go ahead and tell me.
Steve Wynn, way back, put a piece of property under contract that was right beside a big casino. He had no idea what he was going to do with it, but what he did was put out the word that he was going to build a casino there. And so his whole goal was to get the casino next door to buy the lot. And that's exactly what he did. And he made a ton of money on that. And that's how he got it started. Now he owns half of Vegas. All right, so guys, take down these dates, November 20th through the 23rd. Put them down, save them. And if you are interested in this stuff, that's what I'll be doing. I only do it once a year. And you'll see a lot of the things that I've done and how I got a hold of a lot of projects and so forth. So first, let me give you something here. And you got to go to thementorpodcast.com/CP, thementorpodcast.com/CP. That's commercial property. It's the best we could do. And here are 6 lessons that I've done in the past that you can grab for free if this commercial stuff interests you. First one is why commercial property and what kind of properties. That'll clear it up for you right there, what I'm looking for. Number 2, what I look for and why, and using math to pre-screen them. Any income producing property, you can use math to pre-screen them. You don't need an appraiser. And then number 3, ways to buy with no money down. In fact, there are 3 lessons on that, ways to buy with no money down and how to exit for a profit. I go through several different kinds of properties that you can do that with, and that takes up 3 lessons right there. And the last one is how to locate commercial deals right from your desk. So there's 6 good lessons for you. They're not long, 15, 20 minutes each, I'd guess. So we'll grab them while they're free and while they're still up. And Jason, thank you so much for devoting your time to this podcast today. I appreciate you coming on. And as soon as you get off the phone, I expect you to go out and find another deal.
Oh, thank you very much for having me, Ron. I really enjoyed it.
All right. Okay, catch you soon. Thanks for listening, folks. See you on the next The Mentor Podcast.
That's all for this edition of the Mentor Podcast. To connect with Ron and learn how you can attain financial freedom, as well as up-to-date strategies to grow and protect your wealth based on today's discussion, go to www.connectwiththementor.com.